In this video, I want to explain how healing actually works in Throne and Liberty with regards to what exact stats you want to be getting to improve that healing, particularly when trying to boost it to its maximum. We need to look at the heal formula and exactly what modifies the amount you actually heal for. You can show this in game very easily by switching to, say, a dagger. When you enter stealth, you will gain critical heals for the entire duration. For example, here, let's put down our Fountain of Life and we get 600 heal per tick. We can check our stats. We have these values of base damage at the maximum 272, with then skill damage boost at 240 and skill heal at 71.05%. If we input all of that into our calculator, you can find we are indeed healing for 600 on a critical heal. And yeah, that's as a result of going in stealth to guarantee those crits and casting it, and then every one is a crit because you can see we have over 100,000 critical hit chance. So my calculator works, and this allows you to ultimately test builds, compare builds versus each other by simply inputting these stats. The first section here is based on the actual skill you're using. So for this example, we have Fountain of Life. At max level 5, it's 90% of base damage plus 82 extra base damage. And that's where the 90% goes and the 82 goes. And then your min and max base damage, simply what it shows in game on your weapon here. If you want to get a clear representation of what you see in game, then you need to create reliable crit rate. So without having this much crit, your heals are going to be all sorts of different numbers. You see them here. Sometimes we get a 600 and that's a lucky crit. But the best way to test it is to enter Camouflage Cloak and then cast the heal, since you now have all of that extra crit hit chance, which basically pretty much gives you 100% crit chance. And so we do that. And you can add in heavy attack chance as well. If you do that, for example, here, you're then going to have 16.6% heavy heal chance, but this simply adds to the average, so it's going to be like the total. Even though without any, say, heavy attack, you're just going to heal for 600, when technically you heavy heal, you're going to just deal 600 times 2, and it's going to average out based on how many heavy attack chance you have. When you look at, say, I heal 10 times, how many of those are going to actually be heavy attacks? And so if it was 20%, then 2 of them in 10 would be a heavy attack. And so you can take then the average total heal per tick would then be this. That's how you would equate it. And that's what this formula does. So you can best compare 2 builds versus each other if you, say, have a certain amount of crit hit or a certain amount of heavy attack. Now, there is something interesting to note with skill damage boost. You actually only gain 33% of its effect compared to when you look at it in terms of damage. So skill damage boost here is not going to be, say, for every 10 points you gain 1%, it's for every 10 points you gain 0.33%. It would be nice if they actually showed it in the tooltip, but yes, that means skill damage boost is less of a priority for healers to stack, as it's not going to be that impactful. If, say, we example compare these 2 builds, you go from 240 to 250, that's like a 0.27% gain. That's absolutely minuscule. If you want to say a 1% gain in your heals, you would need like another 40 skill damage boost for that. So it's still useful, but it's not going to be as impactful compared to skill heal or just getting that base damage higher. Now, skill heal is going to be a sum of all your other skill heal bonuses, of which you're going to have a lot. Like this Ramshackle build already has over 71%. And that's because you're having bonuses like this one. For every 1,000 mana, you're getting 2.66%. This at max level is going to be 3%. You have when it's daytime, you gain 28%. When this is maxed out, that's going to be like 36%. And there is another one, which I don't put when I test because it's going to increase your heals per stack and thus throw off your results. But Basically, this is going to be 8.2% at max times 3, so that's like over 24% extra skill heal. You can reach crazy values of skill heal. Just like look in this example, you're over 200% with just the build bonuses and then your passives. If you have recovery effects as well, they will only affect recovery skills, but it will also stack with your other skill heal bonuses when calculating for those spells. So for longbow specifically, they have like bonus to recovery spells here and here, and that's going to affect like your flash wave, your healing touch if you use it, so that will help. And if you wanted to calculate for that, you need to keep that in mind. Again, I've tested this extensively, like getting a build that's completely bare bones, just checking say our critical damage, maybe that will affect our heals. Casting it again from stealth, you get 176 there with these stats, and that results in this equation right there. If we slot in our critical damage boost, now we have 18%. We now check again, and it's still only 176 heal per tick. Again, with those stats, and it checks out with the math. So yes, it's only these values, these stats, that actually affect your heals. And if you want to be boosting your output, you need to be focusing on those. And again, it can be very handy to have a bit of a calculator to know what the difference is when comparing two builds versus each other. Again, if everything's the same here between the two builds, except like critical hit chance, and there's a difference of 100, you can see that is a pretty minor boost to your average heal gain when you're going from 1,500 to 1,600. So it's not that vital to push that compared to other options. Getting 20 more skill damage boost would be better versus getting 100 extra crit hit chance. Again, this is simply comparing two builds with different stat combinations versus each other to find out what's the best path forward in terms of stacking stats to improve your output of healing. I've done this for damage output. You can check back on previous videos where I did go over the damage formula. And I haven't yet done it for, say, tanks, but it's pretty much just the opposite of the damage formula, where you're trying to stack as much survivability, basically making your targets deal as little damage as possible against you. So yeah, I've been messing around a bit more on my healer, and I intend in tier 2 to build one up that's fully capable of even running the latest trials. Been running easily 2-star dungeons on a pretty scuffed build as a healer, using a wand, and the bow combo is pretty broken, and honestly there's not really better options than it. You can consider running staff, that can work, but the staff doesn't have, say, the flash wave heal, the nature's blessing recovery, and what's really powerful is deadly marker and blitz. You can even use blitz as a personal boost kind of thing by placing down double fountains of life. Like I put one down here, press blitz, you can put down a second one on top and they stack. But just be aware, these stats aren't everything for healers. Another very important one is going to be buff duration. Like the higher you can have this stat, the longer those buffs are going to last. Like that includes Fountain of Life. It's normally only a 6-second duration, but since I have like 30% buff duration, this thing's gonna last me like 9 seconds. On top of all the other buffs you can provide, you could use Janus's Rage here, Valorous Barrier, Enchanting Time, and also like your Nature's Blessings. And of course, don't skip on cooldown speed too. The higher cooldown speed you have, the more often you can actually cast those heals. And you probably want to focus on getting mana as well, along with maybe some mana regen. And of course, if you're running PvP, you're going to want to be able to survive by having defensive stats, but they're all going to cost you your healing output. Like, you won't get nearly as much as these stats if you're trying to sacrifice some to gain extra hit points, extra endurance, so that you can live a bit longer. But same, dead healer is going to be a useless healer. And overall, I hope this helps. Many of you probably already know the basics on what actually affects heals and how to build your healers, but I'm getting into it myself, and I thought I may as well share the data with you guys, and it might help some of you. Getting more challenging content just makes it even more important to have a good healer who has a proper build and who knows exactly what they need in order to maximize that healing output. Because you know for sure there's going to be a lot of people fat fingering mechanics and taking a lot more damage than they realistically should. And then March the 27th, we'll have those 3-star dungeons even as trials, increasing difficulty even further. And then jumping into May, we'll probably get 12-man raids, which will again boost the difficulty even higher, making it even more important to have a good healer. A good healer will be able to carry a scuffed team far better than any other roller. But that's it for now. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.